Hi, this is my Spirit of Parenting book, and I'll be reading to you from chapter 2, which is entitled, You Are Your Child's First Representative of the Divine. Not only are we formed in God's image, but in a child's mind, God is formed in their parents' image. Because we adults are our children's first representative of the divine. And as these children grow up, let's say, as this little girl grows up, will her goddess be approachable and forgiving and kind and humorous and beneficent? Or for this little boy, and I know it happens for both, but will his God be vindictive, judgmental, punishing, distant, bored? So let's take that concept closer to home. When we are first born, and even before, when we're still in the womb, we are taking constant readings of our parents. Because biologically, we're wise. We know that we have a better chance of survival if our behavior pleases our parents. For example, we learn soon after our birth whether our mom is more likely to feed us if we cry, or if we're cooing and happy. And we store that information in our brain. And we assume the absolute truth of it, even if it makes no sense at all. Therefore, if we're more likely to get attention by crying when we were young, then as an adult, we may still create false situations of drama or crisis in order to get our friend or our mate or even our child to notice our distress. And the strange thing is we will even believe our own distress, even if we're just fine. And very often we'll even choose a mate who matches the energy of our parent. And even further, if our parent was often angry, we may choose a mate who will give us the opportunity to explore that childhood abuse. And we will still believe, no matter what logic says, we will still believe in an angry, punishing God. Isn't it scary to have so much power? You know, as I observe parenting in our culture, I'm often reminded of this terrifying statement that I remember all the time by Christoph Meckel. And he said, whatever it was that happened in paradise involving Adam and Eve and the serpent and the apple, and the roar of the Almighty with his pointed finger signifying expulsion, he said, I know nothing about all that, because it was my Father who drove me out of paradise. And so think about yourself. Ideally, we would store beliefs in our limbic brain that we are adored, that we are a blessing, that it is their greatest delight to hold us and rock us. I remember waking up my children when they were sleeping so that I could have the pleasure of holding them. And we will know for sure that they can't wait to feed us because they want us to be nourished. And if we did have that experience as an infant, then we are certain still that we are the beloved of God, that will always be taken care of and protected. But instead, what if you were driven out of paradise? Because most of us were to one degree or another. Were you taught that your needs are selfish or a bother? Were you told that you were the reason for your parents' unhappiness and that you deserve punishment for making them unhappy? And if so, you will probably assume that your very existence disappoints God and that some version of hell awaits you no matter what. So how can we possibly raise a confident, sane, joyous child who has been steeped in such beliefs of their own wrongness? And how can we be a confident, sane, joyous parent while we still believe the worst about ourselves? So to become an effective parent, we must re-examine our beliefs about ourselves. Isn't it deliciously ironic that in order to truly love our children, we must let go of our childhood beliefs in order to truly love ourselves? What an amazing universe it is when we heal ourselves by loving our children. I do believe, I really do, that we humans are evolving, that we're becoming more able to love. I think we're beginning to realize that the essence of life is love, and that we're made of that love, because do you get it that there's nothing else to be made of than God? There is divinity in each of us. How could it be otherwise? And since the very stuff that we're made of is sacred, we, like our Creator, have the urge to create. Do you get that that's what makes us the happiest? It's when we get to create. And not only are we learning not to drive our children or ourselves out of paradise, but we are finally understanding that we are what I call baby gods practicing. We are learning to create heaven on earth, and it must inevitably begin at home, in our first relationships. So I know who you were when you were born. Are you willing to remember that magnificent truth of you? Before you had to develop all those coping mechanisms? Before you had to pretend that you were the problem? Please join me in knowing that you are the solution created by God. Namaste. I salute, I honor the God in you.